You see it everywhere these days. Headlines promising a revolution thanks to artificial intelligence. But right alongside those, you also see a scarier story that this new technology is going to just devour our planet's resources. Well, today we're going to look at one of those stories, the one about copper, and we're going to ask, what if the whole panic was based on one simple mistake? And this is the question that really sent a jolt through the market. The fear was that building all these massive new data centers for AI would trigger a global copper shortage. Some even called it a copper apocalypse that could grind our whole electrified world to a halt. So this is the number that started it all. 500,000 tons. A report claimed that just one large 1 gigawatt data center, and that's a facility that can power hundreds of thousands of homes, would need a staggering 500,000 tons of copper. To put that into perspective, that's more copper than you'd find in 300 statues of liberty. An absolutely alarming figure that really sent investors scrambling. Okay, so let's unpack this copper apocalypse myth. Where did this incredible prediction even come from? And more importantly, why did everyone take it so seriously? Well, as it turns out, it all traces back to one very credible source. The claim appeared in a technical paper from none other than NVIDIA, the company that's right at the heart of this AI revolution. Now, when a tech giant like that puts out a number, believe me, the market listens. This wasn't just some wild guess. It looked like a hard fact, coming straight from the experts themselves. And when you started to do the math, the conclusion was frankly terrifying. With data centers expected to grow by about 30 gigawatts a year, NVIDIA's number meant a new demand of 15 million tons of copper every single year. Now, consider this. The entire world only mined about 28.6 million tons last year. This suggested that AI data centers alone would soon eat up half of the planet's entire copper supply. It just didn't seem sustainable. But what if this whole panic, this whole copper apocalypse, was all built on a simple mistake? Maybe just a typo? Let's take a closer look at these numbers. And here it is. This is really the aha moment. As you can see, the paper claimed 500,000 tons per gigawatt. But if you dug into the details of the very same paper, you found a different number, that a 1 megawatt rack needs 200 kilograms of copper. Well, a gigawatt is simply 1,000 megawatts. So if you do that simple math, the real number comes out to 200 tons, not 500,000. That's a massive, massive difference. So what happened here? Well, the consulting firm Thunderset Energy has a pretty simple theory. It was likely just a typo. The author probably meant to write 500,000 pounds, not tons. And what does 500,000 pounds convert to? Well, it's about 226 tons, which is right in line with that correct 200-ton calculation. It seems like the most logical explanation. So once you make that correction, the entire picture just completely changes. Let's see what the demand really looks like. Instead of using up half the world's supply, the corrected numbers show that data centers will only account for about 0.15% of annual copper production. That's a tiny, tiny fraction. The copper apocalypse, it seems, has been canceled. It's really a powerful reminder, isn't it? That behind all those sensational headlines, the real story is often hiding in plain sight. You just have to look for it. And by the way, if you're enjoying this explainer and finding it useful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our future updates. We'd really appreciate it. So if AI data centers aren't the real story for copper, what is? And should we still be concerned about copper demand? The answer to that is absolutely yes. The real drivers are just much bigger and a whole lot more widespread. This chart really puts it all into perspective. Just look at that tiny little sliver for data centers. The real demand, the big stuff, comes from things we see every day: construction, appliances, and especially these two huge areas: the global shift to clean energy and, of course, electric vehicles. According to S&P Global, these are the megatrends that are truly going to fuel copper demand for decades to come. Just think about it for a second. Every electric car needs a lot more copper than a gasoline one. The world is expected to install 2 billion new air conditioners, and our aging power grids, they need massive upgrades to handle all this new electricity. And this chart here shows the big picture. Even without all that AI hype, total copper demand is still forecast to grow by a massive 50% by 2040. The demand story is very, very real. The headlines were just focused on the wrong part of it.
So after busting one myth and uncovering a much bigger story, what are the key things to take away from all this?
Well, here's the bottom line. That story about AI eating up all our copper was a myth, likely started by a simple typo. Data centers are really just a small piece of the puzzle. The real story, and it's a much larger one, is the global electrification of everything, from our cars to our homes, and that is going to require a tremendous amount of copper for many, many years to come. So we're left with one final thought. The AI copper crisis might have been a myth, but the demand from electrifying our entire world is very, very real. With global power grids already under strain and needing massive upgrades, are we truly prepared for the real copper story that's just now beginning to unfold?